which has determined your fate. I've never seen so clear, I feel the end and it's near. The day of reckoning's here, the sound of deafening fear.
Everything that is happening now with the counteroffensive of the Ukrainian army in the Zaporizhzhia direction resembles the battles for Bakhmut. For many months, the Ukrainian side, including President Zelensky, claimed that the situation in Bakhmut was under control, and that the Ukrainian Armed Forces allegedly managed to dislodge the enemy from this city. However, in reality, everything turned out to be exactly the opposite. The armed forces of Ukraine not only failed to stop the Russian forces in Bakhmut, but at the same time lost their most combat-ready units in this city. It was reported that even the NATO generals asked Zelensky to give the city to the Russians and save the lives of his soldiers. However, President Zelensky not only continued to send Ukrainian soldiers to certain death, but also continued to blatantly lie that Bakhmut is under the control of the armed forces of Ukraine, even when numerous videos with Russian flags over the city appeared. The same thing is happening now in the Zaporizhzhia direction. While President Zelensky continues to send units of the Ukrainian army to attack and watch as they are completely destroyed by crashing into the concrete wall of Russian defense, the West, including NATO and Pentagon generals, has already begun to discuss the reason for the failure of the Ukrainian army's counteroffensive. Moreover, even pro-Ukrainian retired officers of the U.S. Army began to recognize not only the failure of the counteroffensive of the armed forces of Ukraine, but also the inevitable defeat of Kyiv in this conflict. So, retired U.S. Army officer and war veteran in Iraq and Afghanistan, Daniel Davis, bluntly stated that the U.S. military leadership, together with their colleagues from Ukraine, overestimated the capabilities of not only Western weapons, but also their own forces. According to him, the Pentagon and the General Staff of Ukraine were confident that they would be able to crush the Russian army and cut it in half, reaching the Sea of Azov. However, 3 months later, it turned out that the Ukrainian army ran into a concrete wall, while losing thousands of soldiers a day. Daniel Davis believes that the armed forces of Ukraine were initially doomed to failure, because they initially did not have special forces that are capable of conducting high-profile army operations against the army of such a powerful military power as Russia. Unlike the Russian army, the armed forces of Ukraine does not have experienced commanders and generals who have experience in commanding major military operations during the period of 5 to 10 years. The Ukrainian army has never fought even with an equal opponent, and completely trusted the advices of the United States and NATO countries. As a result, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers were sent to an obvious death, Daniel Davis said. The world's oldest and the UK's leading analytical centre in the field of defence and security, the Royal United Services Institute, also joined the discussion of the true reasons for the failure of the counteroffensive of the armed forces of Ukraine. In the report of this institute, the British military paid special attention to the latest Russian weapons systems and individual Russian units. At the same time, the British did not hide their admiration for the engineering corps of the Russian army. According to the British military, the Russian engineering troops are doing the impossible. They can create a fortified area within 10 hours. The British military claims that Russian engineering troops are also capable of creating multi-kilometer trenches and a full-fledged concrete defense line with minefields within 48 hours. With envy, the British recognized that the armies of other countries of the world are not capable of doing this. The British military also noted with admiration the latest Russian electronic warfare system, SHIPOVNIK-AERO. According to them, this system constantly confuses the armed forces of Ukraine on the battlefield, simulating emitters, communication devices, and commands. All this puts the attacking units of the armed forces of Ukraine into confusion. They just don't understand where their troops are and where the enemy is. At the same time, the British noted that it is the latest electronic warfare system, SHIPOVNIK-AERO, that disables 15,000 Ukrainian drones every month. Seeing what is happening on the battlefield and reading such articles, I really can't understand how some people like Ben Hodges continue to assert that the armed forces of Ukraine will return Crimea by the end of this summer. It is quite possible that these people live in some other dimension, refusing to admit the obvious things.